All right, it looks like we are live. So today we are here with Entrepreneur Josiah. We're going to talk about what the most important things you need to do in your Amazon business to actually succeed, because as we all know, being self-employed, you can go into a million different directions with your business. You can focus on merchant fulfilled. You can first focus on FBA. You can do apparel. You can do grocery. You can do beauty. You can do eBay to Amazon flips. You can do so many different things, and you can do those things in so many different ways. So we're going to talk today about what the most important things you need to focus on in your business is. So Josiah, how are you doing today?
I am doing well. Thanks for having me, Seth.
Yeah, so today, first we're going to answer this question by win to win. So what are some good ideas to sell FBM for fast flips like pools, chlorine? What's the next best thing to look for other than replens? So I honestly don't know. I never did pools and never did chlorine. And this kind of ties into the question that we're talking about today, because in my opinion, the one thing that an Amazon seller needs to be able to do is be able to consistently find profitable inventory. And you can do that through replenishables. You can do that through BOLO type items like pools or chlorine. Josiah, what thoughts do you have about what the most important thing for an Amazon seller to do would be?
Yeah, there's a ton of different kind of business models. We're focused on arbitrage, but even amongst that, you've got books, you've got wholesale, you've got private label. We're in arbitrage. Even within arbitrage, there's 25 different ways you could go. When it comes to the hot bolos, I think the way to find them, you're either going to have to find them yourself, kind of like Jose there in the comment said, by checking Keepa, looking at product trends. Or one way that's been really good for me is find a solid Discord group, one of those kind of paid lead list kind of communities. And that's where people are sharing some of those secrets. I don't think you're going to find the secrets like chlorine here on YouTube until it's too late and the opportunity is over.
Yeah.
So either put the research in yourself or probably pay to be in a group where people are sharing those ideas.
Also, another thing when it comes to that is having a lot of friends in the space who are doing Amazon, because if you're best buds with someone, they might tell you about an opportunity that they have, which leads you to another idea, and you can get in on it and make some money there. So being connected in the space is a really good way, as well as the Discord groups like Josiah was saying, in order to find those types of things. Also, in finding really good opportunities, another way to find really good opportunities like that, and maybe other types of opportunities that are less well known, would be to be very good at sourcing yourself, and or have a virtual assistant or virtual assistants looking into different rabbit trails and ideas for you. Because, like me and Josiah, we probably don't even work 8 hours a day most of the time, maybe even just a couple hours a day. And I think we have good ideas and stuff, but there's only so many rabbit trails we can go down, and so many things we can look at, and so many keepas we can look at. But if we leverage time and have someone else looking into those rabbit trails and then just review those rabbit trails, you'd be surprised at what you can find. Like, both of us have virtual assistants working for us right now. I know, Josiah, your virtual assistant that's her main thing that she's doing is sourcing, right? Like, she finds leads for you and kind of is looking around for those deals for you.
Yeah, she's full time, so about 40 hours a week or so. I don't know how much time she's actually spending, and primarily it's finding new leads through some different eBay to Amazon sourcing techniques that I've found work really well for me. And then I have her updating a few spreadsheets, primarily like a replenishable spreadsheet that we use to track how much we've sold in the last 30 days, how much we have inbound, and do we need to reorder more of this ASIN? And that's pretty much all she does. That's her main focus, is the inventory aspect of the business.
And so having someone to help you in that type of way is super valuable when it comes to finding those massive opportunities, because I was going to talk about Josiah, was your recent probably biggest opportunity that you've bought bulk from, did she find that lead? You know what I mean?
The one from Amazon?
Oh, no, not that one. But the one that it peaked at like $95, but it's usually around 70.
Oh, yes, that one.
Did she find that, or how did you find that?
I think she found that one. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I for a while had her doing manual sourcing, kind of storefront stalking in a manual way, Amazon storefront stalking. That was, so. I'm not as well versed in that, so I wasn't doing a great job directing her towards the type of products I wanted. But every now and then I get some really banging products from her, like the one that Seth just mentioned, that I've been selling on and off for, I don't know, maybe like 4 or 5 months now. Made a lot of money off that one. And now she's focused on using tactical arbitrage to find eBay sources. But I don't know. Every now and then she slips in some fire manual sourced ASIN. I don't know where she's getting them from. Like if she's using kind of a rabbit trail approach to some of the eBay stuff she's looking at, or if she just like gets bored doing eBay and does a little manual sourcing. But
yeah, definitely being able to find those opportunities is really helpful. And Zachary here has a really good question. He says, how long was it until you guys first got into Amazon when you could confidently go out there every day and find profitable products in OA? And that's a really good question, because I vividly remember, I think it was December 2020. I mostly just sold on eBay, and I was watching channels like Daily Refinement, mostly eBay, but he was also talking about like how to find replenishable items, and specifically online items. And just the thought of purchasing something online and selling it for a profit was pretty overwhelming to me. I mean, at that time I did do, I was selling necklaces that I marketed and then from Express, and then put them on Depop, and that was making like good ROI, but nothing crazy. But like finding other regular type items, like it's daunting. It's really overwhelming. So I totally understand that. I know I definitely transitioned very slowly from retail arbitrage and books, that whole type of game over here, and then slowly was like, okay, well, I found this Smart Money secret book that has a buy box of 110 and it's on eBay for 50. So I'll purchase that one SKU and keep it in stock. And then suddenly I'm like, oh, well, I sold this office supply that I found RA, and I'm able to get this on eBay or online as well. And so slowly it started to shift from like 95% RA and 5% OA to slowly like 10%. 12%. Like it really was a process over months and months and months. What has your experience been with that, Josiah? I feel like you're kind of in a similar boat.
Yeah, fairly similar. I started Amazon with books primarily. The goal was to have full-time just books. Didn't really even consider the possibility of doing other products. Probably wasn't even aware that was really a thing. Then dived into retail arbitrage, a lot of the Walmart clearance type stuff, using BrickSeek to find hidden clearance. Did really good with that, and kind of got to a point where I realized that's kind of tough to scale. Time wise, I was spending a lot of time in the stores, on the road, and I just wasn't finding the quantity I wanted. So I started looking at online arbitrage using primarily tactical arbitrage, the software, and that one's got a steep learning curve. I really wasn't finding good results, and there were a lot of days where I was like, I know OA is the way I want to scale this business, but I'm not finding stuff. I felt like I was just beating my head into a brick wall, staring at my computer for 3 or 4 hours and maybe finding $100 profit. Like, what on earth? I do think it has a really steep learning curve, to your point, Zachary. And some of that might be because there's just a slightly lower barrier to entry, right? If Walgreens has a product, anyone globally can look that product up and compare it to the price on Amazon. So your competition pool there is a lot bigger than, say, your local Walgreens store, like the actual brick and mortar retail store, the clearance item on their shelf. How many Amazon sellers are in your area? How many of them are going to go to Walgreens on that day when they mark it down? So it can be a little easier to do that. And so for me, the biggest thing I found that helped me transition from RA to OA was I started looking up some of my RA products. I looked through my sales history on Seller Central or Inventory Lab. I was like, all right, which retail arbitrage products have I sold that have made me the most profit? And kind of sort by that, and then reverse searching those on Google. And that kind of led me down this trail where I was like, some of these, the reason I did so well with them is they're clearanced in the stores because they're a discontinued product. None of these online retailers are selling them anymore. But you know where they are? They're on eBay. And that opened a whole lot of possibilities into basically what I'm doing now with the eBay to Amazon flips. But yeah, kind of similar experience as to what you had, Seth.
We got Jose saying replens are the core of your business. They totally are. And like we've been saying, they kind of are a steep learning curve, but learning how to do that consistently and taking the time to go from 5% OA to 7% OA because you looked and saw that Walmart held that one item that you were going in and doing RA for, and slowly moving it up and up and up over time, and doing what Josiah was saying, looking at your catalog and seeing if you can repurchase any of that stuff online is worth the several to 6 month investment of time that you're probably going to have to put into it. We got Charles in the house. He also sells eBay to Amazon as well. We connected a couple months ago, so always cool to see Charles. We got Steve Raking Profit in the house. Smash that like button. These guys are the legends of eBay to Amazon. I appreciate you, Steve. And speaking of Steve, Steve has been selling DVDs on eBay to Amazon for quite a while himself. And it's so interesting with eBay to Amazon because Steve has his methods. He does mostly DVDs. I have my methods. I do mostly electronics and like office supplies, all that type of stuff. Josiah does some electronics, but also some other stuff as well. And we all have our different sourcing methods and they all work. And there's just so many different directions that we could take it. And there's no right or wrong answer to this. Like there's 100 different ways to make money on Amazon and probably even eBay to Amazon as well. Jose asking the very on our minds question every once in a while. What is your plan if Amazon shuts you down when you have tons of money in inventory? Yep, that has been something that I have thought about quite a bit. And that is why I no longer have 100K in business debt, because I would love to not go net worth negative if some fluke like that were to happen. So basically right now I am not in business debt. I'm running this on cash. Josiah does that as well. Steve does that as well. We have very solid emergency funds. We're going to be just fine if Amazon shuts us down. It's going to be very, very sad because we'll lose all that inventory. But at the end of the day, it's going to be all right. Josiah, do you have any thoughts about this? You kind of on the same page?
Yeah, pretty much on the same page. Do everything in your control to not get to that point. But any business model is at risk of that. I've heard of wholesale guys even getting suspended, maybe not permanently, but even for a short time. That's the risk of playing on Amazon's platform, and try to follow the rules as best you can. But sometimes in those gray areas, there is some lucrative opportunities that are worth the risk, in my opinion. And have a plan B. If Amazon were to get shut down today, how are you going to pay your bills next month? And that can be as simple as a emergency fund that can cover you and your needs for a short while. Or I have a couple other streams of income like Turo. I think Steve has some other income. I know you're working on that as well, Seth. So it's good to have. I think honestly, anyone that's a business owner, entrepreneur, it's a risky venture, and so it's good to have multiple streams. As we saw with the pandemic, some of the safest businesses got closed down because the government said whatever they wanted to say. You would never think that a restaurant wouldn't be able to sell burgers for 3 months, and that ruined some business owners and put them in a really tight situation. So I think that's one big takeaway I've gotten from the last couple of years. It's really good to have multiple streams of income if you can get to that.
Yeah, and it's always a balancing game of like, do I reinvest into inventory and kind of make it so that my business, my machine, if you will, like makes more money for me? Or do I just like pay myself more and increase my security? And so definitely have to keep both of those things in mind. So probably for the beginning of 2022, I went very much into let's build a machine that's going to crank me out money every month. And in the last couple of months, I've been balancing it out so that there's more security there. Yeah, it's always a sobering thing to think about though, because it is a risk at the end of the day, but there's, like you said, there's a lot of money to be made in those gray areas, if you will. Yeah. And Josiah, as far as sourcing goes, what would you say would be one of the biggest breakthroughs that you've had in how you've gotten better at sourcing and more consistent in sourcing? That's kind of a big, broad question right off the bat, but
yeah, I know what you're getting at. The biggest thing for me was I realized I had some time constraints. Like you could, if you had infinite time, you could manually scrub through reverse searching sellers or looking at thousands and thousands of keepagraphs and do it that way. But for me, that just wasn't working. I wasn't good enough at that. And I was spending too much time doing that. So I found one primary way to deploy tactical arbitrage in searching through eBay stores. And that's been a huge breakthrough. And so this is kind of like the secret of my business and how I find most of my products. I start with a product I've already purchased before from eBay. I go look at that particular eBay seller's storefront and I see if they have other products that look like they could be promising flips. And then I take the URL for that storefront, put it into tactical arbitrage, and I let the software scrub however many hundred or thousands of listings they have. And I just keep building a list that's growing and growing of potential eBay sellers. And some of them I can tell are retail arbitrage guys. Some of them I can tell are more liquidation type stuff. They get some of this stuff in bulk quantities that I know you just couldn't like find at Walmart. And some of them, I think for some of the older discontinued stuff are more thrift store kind of people. And so it's been really fascinating to kind of, it's like I'm doing like storefront stalking, but in reverse. I'm stalking the eBay sellers. And that's been really, really good. And that's primarily what I have my VA doing right now.
Yeah, that's such a unique way of sourcing, and like I know it works really, really well for you, and it actually makes a lot of sense. There's certain eBay sellers who do certain things and have certain business models, so why not like regularly check their stores?
And it's kind of like if you've looked into any wholesale type stuff, part of it is building a relationship with the distributor. I kind of have these relationships with certain eBay sellers, I've bought thousands of dollars from particular eBay stores. They know my name. They know who I am. If I message them and say, hey, I want to buy all 30 units of this, can you cut me a deal? Some of them are like, yeah, absolutely, man. I love doing business with you. And so that's been really cool. It's like the more I buy from them, the more they trust me, the better deals I get, the more opportunity there is. Some of them reach out to me. They're like, hey man, I got more of this in stock. I'll sell it to you at this price. And I'm like, okay, where's the listing? They're like, oh, I didn't even list it yet. I just wanted to let you know first. And it's like, yes, that's what I
Yes,
want.
exactly. And this is probably a good thing to touch on as well. As we wrap this up, kind of, Jose is saying great answers. So how do you plan to grow more when reducing your inventory spend? And so this comes back to a principle that also Daily Refinement talks a lot about, which is something called reseller nirvana. So basically, the idea of reseller nirvana is that you're at a point where you're selling the same amount of units and you're listing the same amount of units per day or per week or per month. And so that could be the same amount of potential profit going into your store and being sold that same day. And so when you're at that point, you could be at that point whenever you want to be, depending on what your goals are. If you have 3 items in your store and like one or two of them sell a month, you could just say, this is the size store that I want, and I'm happy to sell 2 units per month. Or you can have 2,000 items in stock and they sell every month and you replenish that every month. And so getting to a point where your business is, I don't know what profit goals are, but for hypothetical example, you're putting 10,000 profit into your business per month and you're getting back out of it 10,000 profit per month. And so at that point, you don't have to continue to spend more on inventory. You continue to maintain that. Josiah, what are your thoughts on this? How do you see this question?
Yeah, you're kind of asking, at what point do you stop scaling, or how do you tackle that dynamic? And that's something I've thought about a lot. For a little over a year, we've been paying ourselves a kind of flat monthly rate to cover our bills and have a pretty comfortable lifestyle. And with taking that amount out of the business every month, at the beginning, that was a little tough. That didn't leave a ton of additional profit to bring into the next month. But now we're getting to the point where we're probably close to double. So we take out, say we take out $5,000, we have an extra $5,000 profit to take into the next month. And that's really cool. I'm seeing the business kind of explode with the potential there with that capital. We have some particular goals in mind for how much we want to earn in the next year or so in order to purchase a house. And past that, long term, we want to get into some kind of Airbnb type businesses. And so those are really like cash intensive projects we're looking forward to. So that's kind of in the back of our minds. It's not necessarily I want to do Amazon for the next decade and I want to be making 15 grand a month. This is how much we want to pay ourselves per month. And if we can make this much additional, not to spend on our personal lifestyle, but to put into another business, that would be really cool. But yeah, the reseller nirvana idea is really, really cool way of grabbing that concept. And thanks for sharing that with me like a month or so ago, Seth. That's been definitely in the back of my mind. I saw a clip from a Ryan Pineda interview recently. I don't know who he was interviewing, some real estate guy. And he was talking about, in his opinion, 20 grand income per month is the sweet spot to be, right? Because you can take 10 grand for your personal lifestyle and living, and you can have a pretty comfortable life in most of the country. 10 grand a month, that's, low 6 figures. Pretty comfortable life. And then you've got 10 extra grand to take and invest in whatever kind of stocks, real estate, business, or whatever. That's a significant amount of money to play with and try to make more money with. And so when you get to that point, you can really see compounding and really cool opportunities. And so we're around that point, and it's pretty exciting. When will we stop growing? I don't know.
That's awesome. Yeah, and you've helped me a lot with thinking about like, okay, I'm transitioning from a credit mostly for inventory business to how do I take care of this with a cash only business. And so learning and adjusting to those things has been really cool. And I've appreciated your help with that, Josiah. And Jose is saying, awesome, Seth. Never heard of reseller Nirvana, but finding a balance and investing outside of Amazon is key, especially with shutdown potentials. Yeah, and just another point about shutdown potentials, like it's every Amazon seller's nightmare, but it really doesn't happen to a lot of people. Like if you message 50 people, probably like 50 people who sell on Amazon seriously, probably one or two maybe have even temporarily been suspended. I would assume it's probably around that. And so between the time that all of those people have been selling for the last 2, 3, 4 years, all of that time together with only one or two people even ever receiving a temporary suspension means that the chance is very small. That doesn't necessarily solve it, but just knowing that logically in the back of your head is like, okay, like if I mostly follow the rules here, like things are generally going to be fine for me. So Josiah, do you have any thoughts on that as we wrap this up?
Yeah, to give you some hope, Jose, I actually was suspended earlier this year, and the suspension lasted about 3 hours on a Saturday. It slightly stressed me out, but honestly, I wasn't too worried about it. I probably should have been a little bit more worried about it than I was, and I got my account back pretty quick. And I think my biggest takeaways from it are pay attention to your account health. I just stopped paying attention to it. I was getting IP claims, and I was like, what are they going to do to me? They haven't done anything to me before, and I wouldn't even respond to them. That's a problem. Always respond. Even if you don't have the documentation they want, respond. Second thing is volume of sales in your account, I think, is really, really big. At this point, Seth and I are doing some bigger volume quantity wise, and so Amazon is going to be a little bit more lenient with us. And then the third thing is your account age. As you are on the Amazon platform longer and longer, Amazon's going to trust you more and more, and you're going to be less likely to get that instant ban hammer. I think a number of the people I've heard that have gotten suspensions and not been able to recover from it, they seem to be newer sellers usually. And they do something maybe not quite kosher, or maybe they just get unfortunate and they get that IP complaint that's unjustified and they can't recover. But so if you're careful in the beginning and grow to scale and quantity, I think you'll be a little safer, and it's not as scary as some people paint it. It's like you go on the Google reviews for a certain store, and who are the people that are posting those reviews? The people that are really, really angry, or the people that are really, really happy? The average customer that is satisfied, they don't have a reason to go leave a Google review. Same thing with Amazon suspensions. You're going to hear the whiners a lot more than the people that aren't whining.
Yeah, that's a great point. And if you guys already aren't subscribed to Josiah's channel, his channel is Entrepreneurial. I'm going to go ahead and put it in the chat. I'm going to type it out so that I don't spend like 5 minutes on this old laptop getting the link for it. Speaking of that, I got a new laptop today, but that's a talk for another day.
Let's go.
This is his channel. Definitely give him a subscribe. He talks about Amazon. He talks about Turo. He talks about entrepreneurship, entrepreneurship.
There we go.
And yeah, definitely give him a follow. And if you're not subscribed to this channel as well, feel free to help me out by subscribing. And definitely send either of us a message. If you do eBay to Amazon, if you need help, send us a message on Instagram. We'd love to help out. Love to connect with you guys. Thank you guys so much for being here. Josiah, thank you for coming on. Would love to continue doing this. But yeah, have a great rest of the day, guys. Take care.